The Galactic Combat Academy floated in the darkness of space like a metal moon. It was huge. Thousands of beings from hundreds of different planets came here to train. They came to become warriors. They came to prove that their species was strong. For 300 years, humans had a problem at this academy. Other species looked at them and saw weak creatures, soft skin, no claws, no armor, no venom. Humans lived short lives compared to most aliens. Many species thought humans were a mistake of nature. Did not care what they thought. She was 22 years old. She stood 165 centimeters tall. Her black hair was tied back in a simple braid. Her eyes were dark and calm. When she walked through the halls of the academy, she had to look up at almost everyone. The warriors were over 2 meters tall with bones growing outside their skin like natural armor. They had 4 arms and scales that could stop a knife. They moved like shadows and had poison in their claws. Had none of these things. She had only her human body and her human mind. But she had done something no human had done in 40 years. She had passed every test. She had survived every challenge. She had earned her place in the Advanced Combat Division. The instructors did not know what to think of her. The other cadets did not know if they should laugh at her or respect her. Today, everything would change. Commander stood at the center of the great hall. She was old and from many battles. Her voice was loud enough to reach every corner of the room without any machine to help her. "Cadets," she said, "today we announce the selection trial matches." Everyone knew what this meant. Once a year, the academy tested its best cadets. Each cadet would fight one opponent chosen by the academy's computer. Win, and you moved forward in your training. Lose, and you went home in shame. Some cadets faced instructors. Some faced senior students. The computer always tried to find a fair match. Stood near the back of the crowd. Her roommate stood beside her, was younger than most with blue-green scales and worried eyes. She had become friend in the first week of training when had helped her with a difficult exercise. Most aliens did not want to be friends with humans. Was different. "I hope we get easy opponents," whispered. Smiled but said nothing. The holographic display above the arena floor began to show names. Cadet after cadet learned who they would fight. Some looked relieved. Some looked scared. One cadet actually laughed when he saw his match. Then's name appeared. And next to it, another name. A name that made the entire hall go quiet. General of the Empire. Made a sound like she had been hit in the stomach. All around them, cadets turned to look at. Some with pity. Some with confusion. Some with something that looked almost like relief, because at least they were not the one who had to fight him. Looked at the holographic image that appeared above the arena. She saw a face covered in scars. She saw yellow eyes that held no warmth. She saw bones woven into armor, bones taken from enemies he had killed. She saw a creature that had fought 312 times and had never lost. General was famous across the galaxy. He had killed champions from every major species. He had broken warriors twice his size. He had once torn a military robot apart with his bare hands. Some people said he was the most dangerous fighter alive. And the computer had chosen him to fight. "This is wrong," said. Her voice was shaking. "This has to be a mistake. We should talk to Commander. We should file a complaint. The computer must be broken." "The computer is not broken," said a voice behind them. They turned. Lieutenant stood there, an instructor with 4 arms and a face that never smiled. He looked at with an expression she could not read. "The computer finds the most useful match," said. "Not the most fair match, not the most equal match, the most useful match." "Useful for what?" demanded. "Useful for getting killed." Did not answer, he just kept looking at. Understood. The computer did not think she could win. Nobody thought she could win. But the computer wanted to see what would happen when a human faced the impossible. It wanted data. It wanted to know what humans would do when there was no hope. The crowd was still staring at her, waiting to see if she would cry, waiting to see if she would run, waiting to see fear on her face. Looked up at the image of one more time. She studied his scars. She studied his eyes. She thought about all the warriors he had killed, all the champions who had tried to match his strength and his speed and his skill. Then she did something that confused everyone in the hall. She smiled. It was not a fake smile. It was not a brave smile hiding fear underneath. It was a real smile, the kind of smile a person makes when they see something interesting, something exciting, something fun. Grabbed her arm. Please, you can forfeit. No one would blame you. You do not have to do this. Turned to her friend. Her eyes were bright with something that might have been joy. I know, she said, but I want to. She looked around at all the aliens staring at her. She looked at Commander, who was watching her with careful eyes. She looked at Lieutenant, who had not moved. Then she said 3 words that would become famous across the galaxy. I am not afraid. The Academy gave 7 days to prepare. 7 days to get ready to fight the most dangerous warrior in the galaxy. 7 days to make peace with her death, because everyone believed she would die. Did not waste a single hour. On the first morning, she woke up before the station lights turned on. She left her room while was still sleeping. She went to the maintenance tunnels that ran beneath the Academy floors. These tunnels were small and dark. They were made for cleaning robots, not for people. Most aliens could not fit inside them. Even humans had to crawl. Spent 3 hours in those tunnels. She memorized every turn. She practiced moving through tight spaces without making sound. She learned how her body worked when she had no room to stand up straight. When she came out, she was covered in dust and her muscles were burning, but she was smiling. Lieutenant found her in the cafeteria, eating her breakfast alone. The other cadets kept their distance. They did not want to be near the dead girl. You are not studying, said. He sat down across from her with his 4 arms folded. Took another bite of her food. No. He has 17 signature moves. Each one can kill you in less than a second. Do you not want to learn them? I already learned them, said. I read his file 2 months ago, when I first arrived at the Academy. His eyes narrowed. Why would you study a general when you first arrived? Looked at him, because I knew this would happen. You knew the computer would match you against. No, I knew that someday someone would try to prove that humans do not belong here. I knew they would find the biggest, strongest, most dangerous fighter and put me against him. I have been preparing for this fight since the day I was born. Was quiet for a long moment. Then he made a sound that might have been a laugh. You are either very smart or very crazy. My mother always said there is no difference. For the rest of the week, trained in ways that confused everyone who watched her. She did not practice fighting moves. She did not lift heavy weights. She did not spar with training partners. Instead, she ran. She ran through every part of the Academy. She ran in the normal gravity sections until her legs screamed. Then she ran in the low gravity sections, where every step sent her floating through the air. She learned how to move when the ground did not pull her down properly. She learned how to change direction in mid-air. She also stopped sleeping normally. Instead of 8 hours of rest, she took short naps throughout the day and night. And she programmed the Academy's medical robots to attack her at random times, when she was eating, when she was showering, when she was trying to sleep. The robots were not trying to hurt her. They were just trying to touch her, but treated every touch like death. By the 4th day, she could wake from a deep sleep and dodge an attack in less than half a second. Watched all of this with growing worry. You are going to hurt yourself before the fight even starts, she said one evening, when came back to their room covered in sweat and breathing hard. Maybe, admitted. She sat down on her bed and began stretching her tired muscles. But I need my body to do things it has never done before. The only way to teach it is to push it. But why? Why not just study his weaknesses? Every fighter has weaknesses. Looked at her friend. Has 3 weak points on his body. 3 places where his bone armor does not protect him. One is behind his knee, one is under his arm, one is at the base of his skull. Every warrior who has ever faced him knew about these weak points. Every single one of them tried to attack these spots. And they all failed, because also knows where his weak points are. He protects them better than anything else. If you try to attack his weakness, he will see it coming. He will kill you before you get close. Scales shifted color, showing her confusion. Then what are you going to do? Finished stretching and lay back on her bed. She stared at the ceiling with tired but calm eyes. I am not going to fight him at all. That makes no sense. It will. On the last night before the match, slept deeply for the first time in days. She did not program any robots to attack her. She did not set any alarms. She simply closed her eyes and let her body rest. Stayed awake for a long time, watching her human friends sleep. She had known for almost a year now. She had seen face challenges that would break other cadets. She had seen smile in situations that made others cry. But tomorrow would face General. And no matter how brave she was, no matter how smart she was still just a small human with soft skin and fragile bones. Did not sleep that night. She sat in the darkness and prayed to gods she was not sure she believed in, asking them to protect her friend. In the morning, woke up calm and ready. She ate a small breakfast. She dressed in her academy combat uniform. She braided her hair tight against her head so nothing could grab it. Then she walked to the arena, where death was waiting for her. And she was still smiling. The combat arena was the heart of the academy. It was a huge circular space with walls that could change to create different fighting environments. Today, the walls showed nothing, just flat gray metal, just an empty space where 2 beings would fight until one of them could not continue. The observation galleries were packed with bodies. Every seat was taken. Cadets stood in the aisles. Instructors crowded near the windows. Even the cleaning staff had stopped working to watch. Word had spread across the entire station. The human girl was going to fight General. Some came to see a miracle. Most came to see a death. The betting pools had opened 3 days ago on 17 different worlds. The odds against were 847 to 1. Some gambling houses refused to take bets at all, saying it was not a real fight, just an execution. Walked into the arena through the east entrance. She wore standard academy combat armor, the kind designed for speed rather than protection. It would not save her from us claws. Nothing would save her from us claws, but it let her move freely, and that was what she needed. She carried no weapons, had claimed the right of unarmed combat, an old tradition for formal challenges. Some people said he did this to make the fight fair. Others said he did this because killing with his bare hands felt better. The arena floor was cold under her feet. The lights were bright above her head. She could hear the crowd making noise, thousands of voices mixing together into a wall of sound, but she did not listen to them. She was looking at the west entrance where her opponent would appear. She did not have to wait long. General walked into the arena like a mountain learning to move. He was over 2 meters tall and almost as wide. His skin was covered in bone plates that had grown there naturally, armor that no weapon could easily break. His claws were long and sharp, each one capable of cutting through metal. His yellow eyes found immediately and did not look away. He walked slowly to the center of the arena. Each step made the floor shake slightly. When he stopped, he was close enough that could smell him. He smelled like blood and old stone. "Little human," he said. His voice was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. "Your species sends children to die against me. This is either great bravery or great stupidity." Looked up at him, she had to tilt her head back to see his face. He was so much bigger than her, so much stronger, so much more deadly. She stretched her arms above her head, loosening her shoulders. "In my experience, General, the line between those two is very thin." Made a sound that might have been a laugh. You are not afraid. No, you should be. Finished stretching and dropped into a loose stance. Her hands were open at her sides. Her weight was balanced on the balls of her feet. She looked relaxed, almost bored. Maybe, she said, but fear would not help me today. The starting tone sounded, a single clear note that echoed through the arena. Moved. He was fast, much faster than something that big should be able to move. His first attack was a sweeping claw strike aimed at her neck. It would have taken her head off if it had hit her. The air screamed as his claws cut through the space where her body had been. But was not there. She had dropped flat to the ground the moment the tone sounded. She rolled between his legs before he could look down. She was on her feet behind him before his arm finished moving. Spun around with a speed that shocked the watching crowd. His second attack was a grab, both hands reaching for her body. His claws could crush stone. They would crush her bones like dry sticks. Ducked under his arms and moved to his side. She did not try to hit him. She did not try to hurt him. She just moved. Attacked again and again and again. Each attack was fast and deadly. Each attack would have killed any normal opponent, but was never where his attacks landed. She was always somewhere else, moving, flowing, dancing around him like water around a rock. The crowd began to make confused sounds. They had come to see a fight. This was not a fight. This was something else, something they had never seen before. 1 minute passed, then 2, then 3. Was getting angry. His roars echoed through the arena as he chased the small human around the space. He was the greatest warrior of his generation. He had killed champions and heroes and legends, and this tiny creature would not stand still and let him hit her. Fight me, he bellowed. Stop running and fight. Did not answer, she just kept moving. In the observation gallery, Lieutenant leaned forward in his seat. His forearms were tight against his body. His eyes were locked on the human cadet. She is not fighting, Commander said beside him. What is she doing? Watched slide past another deadly strike. He watched her use own momentum to create distance. He watched her breathe slowly and steadily while the general's breathing grew louder and harder. She is winning, said quietly. Looked at him like he was crazy. On the arena floor, threw another massive punch. This time he put too much power into it. His body leaned too far forward. His weight shifted to his front leg. It was a small mistake, a tiny error, the kind of mistake that would mean nothing against a normal opponent. But had been waiting for exactly this mistake. She moved faster than she had moved all fight. She dove forward under his arm, inside his guard, and she drove her elbow into the soft spot behind his knee with all the strength in her small body. His leg buckled. For the first time in 312 fights, the greatest warrior fell to one knee and began to climb. What happened next would be remembered for a very long time. Moved up's body like she was climbing a living mountain. Her small fingers found gaps in his bone armor, spaces where the plates did not quite meet. These gaps were tiny. Most species had fingers too thick to fit inside them, but human fingers were thin and flexible. Used every one of those gaps. She pulled herself up his back before he could stand, her legs wrapped around his thick neck. She was not trying to choke him, had backup breathing systems. Choking one was almost impossible, but by holding his neck she controlled his head. She controlled where he could look. She forced him to fight blind. Roared with rage and reached back with his claws. Those claws could cut through starship metal. They could tear her apart in a second, but was always moving, always shifting her position, always staying in the space behind his head where he could not see her. He grabbed for her with his right hand. She leaned left. He grabbed with his left hand. She leaned right. Every time he thought he knew where she was somewhere else. The crowd in the observation galleries was screaming now. Some were cheering for. Many were just making noise because they did not know what else to do. No one had ever seen anything like this. Was pressed against the gallery window, her blue-green scales pale with fear and hope. Her 4 hands were flat against the glass. She could not look away. In the instructor section, Lieutenant stood completely still. His eyes tracked every movement made. He was watching something impossible happen. He was watching a human defeat a legend. "She is not trying to hurt him," Commander said. Her voice was full of wonder. "She is not attacking at all. What is she doing?" Understood. He had spent 4 days watching train, and now he finally understood what she had been planning. "She is waiting," he said. "She is letting time defeat him." Looked confused. Time. Bodies are built for power, not for duration. They fight in short, violent bursts. Their muscles burn energy very fast. Has never fought for more than 4 minutes because he has never needed to. Every opponent he faced tried to match his strength. They all died quickly. Pointed at the arena floor, where was stumbling now, his movements growing slower and clumsier. The human is not matching his strength. She is making him use his strength against nothing. She is making him fight the air, and the air does not get tired. On the arena floor was in trouble. He had been fighting for 6 minutes now. His body had never worked this hard for this long. His muscles were filling with fire. His lungs were struggling to pull in enough air. His hearts were beating so fast they hurt. And still, the human clung to his back like a living shadow. He fell to his knees. He tried to roll over to crush her against the floor, but she released her grip at the last moment, landed on her feet, and was back on him before he could get up. She was everywhere and nowhere. She was a ghost he could not touch. 7 minutes, the longest fight of his life, and he had not landed a single hit. Tried to stand. His legs shook. He managed to get one foot under him, then the other. He rose slowly, his body screaming with exhaustion. The human was on his back again, her legs locked around his neck, her hands gripping the edges of his bone plates. He reached back one more time. His claws passed through empty air. She had moved again. "Stop," he gasped. "Stop moving." Did not stop. 8 minutes. Could barely lift his arms. His vision was getting dark at the edges. His body was shutting down, demanding rest that he could not give it. Then did something that shocked everyone watching. She let go. She dropped from his back and landed on the arena floor in front of him. She stood there, small and calm, looking up at the exhausted giant who had killed 300 warriors. Stared at her. He tried to raise his claws for another attack. His arms moved slowly, so slowly, like he was fighting through thick water. "Yield," said. Her voice was quiet but clear. "You cannot win, you know this. Yield." His yellow eyes burned with rage and shame. Yield. A general yield to a human, to this tiny soft creature who did not even fight properly. He swung at her, a slow, tired punch that she stepped away from easily. "Yield," she said again. "There is no shame in this. You are not losing to weakness. You are losing to a different kind of strength, a strength your people have never seen before." Tried to speak. His voice came out as a whisper. "What are you?" Looked at him with something that might have been respect. "I am human. We are small. We are soft. We do not have armor or claws or poison, but we have something else. We have patience. We have endurance. And we have minds that do not accept impossible." She took a step closer to him, close enough that he could have grabbed her if his arms still worked. "You are the greatest warrior of your generation," she said. "But you have always fought the battle in front of you. You have never had to fight a different kind of battle. Today, you learned something new. Today, you learned that strength is not always about power." Looked at her for a long moment. His breathing was slowing. His body was failing. And slowly, painfully, the greatest warrior dropped to one knee. Not from exhaustion this time. From something else. The arena was completely silent. Every being in the observation galleries had stopped breathing. On 17 different worlds, billions of viewers stared at their screens and could not believe what they were seeing. General, the undefeated champion of the Empire, was kneeling before a human. His massive head was lowered. His claws rested on the floor. His body, which had destroyed so many enemies, was still and quiet. "I yield," he said. 2 words, simple words, but they changed everything. "I yield to you, warrior," continued. His voice was rough with exhaustion and something else, something that might have been wonder. "By the laws of my people, by the codes that have guided honor for 10,000 years, I submit. You have defeated me." The silence lasted for 3 more heartbeats. Then the arena exploded with sound. Cadets were screaming. Instructors were shouting. Somewhere in the galleries had fallen to her knees and was crying with relief and joy. The noise was so loud that the walls of the arena shook, but did not hear any of it. She stepped forward and held out her hand to the kneeling giant. "Stand up, General. Your honor belongs to you, not to me. I did not fight to take anything from you." Looked at her small hand. He could crush it so easily. Even exhausted, even beaten, he was still strong enough to break her bones with a single squeeze. But instead of crushing, he took her hand gently, carefully, and used it to help himself rise. He stood before her, towering over her like a mountain over a flower. But somehow, in that moment, they seemed equal. "I have fought 312 warriors," said. His voice carried across the arena, and the crowd grew quiet to hear him. "I have faced champions from every species in the galaxy, warriors who came at me with fury, warriors who came at me with pride, warriors who came at me with desperate courage." He looked down with eyes that had seen so much death, so much violence, so much proof of his own power. "You are the first who came with patience," he said. "The first who looked at me and did not see a monster to be feared. You looked at me and saw a problem to be solved. You did not try to match my strength. You did not try to copy my ways. You found your own way, a way I could not understand, a way I could not defeat." He turned to face the crowd, and his voice grew louder. "Today I have learned something that I will carry for the rest of my life. The humans are not weak. They are not soft. They are not the lesser species that we have called them for 300 years. His yellow eyes returned too. "They are terrifying because they do not fight the battle you give them. They fight the battle they choose. They change the rules. They make the impossible possible. And when you think you have beaten them, when you think there is no way they can win, they smile at you." He paused. "And then they win anyway." The crowd roared again. This time the sound was different. This was not just noise. This was respect. This was recognition. This was thousands of beings from hundreds of species accepting something they had never believed before. Humans belonged here. In the months that followed, became famous. Her fight against was studied in combat academies across the galaxy. Military leaders watched recordings of the match and discussed what it meant. Scientists wrote papers about human endurance, human adaptability, human creativity, but did not care about fame. She continued her training. She helped other human cadets who came to the academy, teaching them what she had learned. She became friends with himself, who visited the academy often to spar with her using techniques that did not rely on pure strength. 3 months after the fight, graduated at the top of her class. She was the first human to ever earn that honor. The graduation ceremony was held in the Great Hall where she had first learned she would face. Every seat was filled. Cadets and instructors and visitors from across the Alliance had come to watch. When walked across the stage to receive her champion's crest, General was waiting for her. He held the medal in his massive hands, hands that had killed hundreds, hands that had never known defeat until they met her. "Cadet," he said formally, "by the authority granted to me by the Galactic Combat Academy, I present you with the champion's crest. You have proven yourself to be the finest warrior of your year. You have brought honor to your species and to this academy." He placed the medal around her neck. It was heavy and cold against her chest. Then he leaned down and spoke quietly, so only she could hear. "Thank you," he said, "for teaching an old warrior that there is always more to learn." Smiled up at him, the same smile she had given him in the arena when everyone thought she was about to die. "That is what humans do," she said. "We learn, we adapt, we survive, and when we cannot win the game we are given, we make a new game." Laughed. It was a strange sound, rough and unused but real. Turned to face the crowd. She saw in the front row, crying happy tears. She saw Lieutenant standing at attention, his 4 arms clasped behind his back. She saw Commander nodding with approval. And beyond them she saw hundreds of faces looking at her with something new in their eyes. Not pity, not confusion, not doubt. Respect. She was one small human in a galaxy full of giants. But today, she had shown them all that size does not decide who wins. Power does not decide who wins. The winner is decided by the one who refuses to accept defeat, the one who finds another way, the one who looks at the impossible and says 3 simple words: "I am not afraid." And in the years that followed, those words spread across the galaxy. They became a human saying, a human promise, a human truth. We are not afraid. We never were.